Hello everybody and welcome back. We are here for the week 2 challenge of the November challenges going on in the Non-Stop Papercrafts Facebook group. These are linked with the Christmas wishes kit that I've released for this month. There are some freebies which I'll share with you in just a second. But the challenge this week is again linked to tags. So last week was a pocketed tag. This week is still tags, but hopefully another kind of spin on them, just to again show you different ways that we can jazz up our tags. So I'll share with you the freebies. These can be found either in the Non-Stop Papercrafts Facebook group, or they can be found on my Ko-fi page. I know not everybody uses Facebook, so they are on my Ko-fi page if you want to go and grab them there. So we have, first of all, just a couple of fun background pages. So we've got this one with all the pine needles that you would find on like a Christmas style tree, but it's got a nice white background, great for any kind of seasonal craft, so anything that's kind of wintry. We've then got this one, which is obviously definitely much more Christmassy. We've got our little different Santa hats, some bits of holly, and again the kind of the red circles in the background. So you've got those two background pages, and then to actually make the tags I have this A4 page. So I'm just going to spin it round so you can see it a little bit better. So let's do it this way first actually. So we've got these two which are just generic tags, so they are just your standard tags that you might want to attach to a present. And then I have done these two. So we've got the circular one at the top with the lovely train. Lots of people have commented that they love this vintage style train that's in the kit, so of course I had to include it in a tag. And then we've got these really sweet children holding a present. Now you may have noticed that I have erased the present, and it's optional on this one, you don't have to, but the idea is that you can cut that out and make it into a shaker tag, which is what I'm going to do today. You could do the same up here. I have cut it out in my one today to kind of show you, but you don't have to, you could just have that as a tag. Now I've put them quite close together so that you could cut these out and then simply just obviously create a teeny fold there, and then you've got your instant cards. They are mirrored so that obviously once this is cut out and this is cut out, if you choose to do that, it should all line up. So they are mirrored, and it's the same with these ones, these are mirrored as well. So I have already cut mine out. I used my Cricut to do that. I use my Cricut for a lot of my fussy cutting, and I'm very excited because I recently bought a new Cricut. I had the Cricut Explore Air 2, which I've had for absolutely years. I bought it before my daughter was born, and she's recently turned 6, so I've had it for over 6 years. And it was a brilliant machine, such a workhorse. I used it lots, especially for my fussy cutting, because as I've said in many videos, I hate fussy cutting. I find it so tedious. I'm no good with scissors, as you've probably noticed in previous videos. So yes, I love my Cricut. But the Cricut Explore Air 2, while it's a fantastic machine, it's a very large machine and it was too big for my craft space. So I have now got the Cricut Joy Extra. So it still does print and cut. Its mat is an A4 size. If I bring that in, I can show you. So this mat is for the Cricut Joy Extra. So as you can see, it fits perfectly an A4 piece or letter size if you are in the US. So it fits it perfectly on here. So I can still do my print and cuts, which was the main thing I wanted. I wanted a smaller machine, but I still needed it to do those print and cuts. So I've had my machine do those. So I'm just going to move these to the side. And it's cut them all out. So we've got our standard tags here, and I've done the printer cut. So this is on 300 GSM, so it's nice and sturdy. So I've got these two tags, which obviously I can just straight away use either in my journals or attach it to a present if I wish to. And then I've got these. Now these have actually stayed attached because when I do my cutting, I had the bleed on, so it gives a bleed effect. So it kind of I think it's so if it cuts slightly out of the line, you don't really notice it because it kind of bleeds out the colour a little bit. So because it's had that bleed effect, it still has stayed connected between them. So I have got a very sort of thin join. I've actually got a thin join on both of them. Now obviously these are designed for tags, and as you can see I did actually cut out the bit on the train, and they're designed so that you have them back to back. You don't have to. Now this challenge is for a tag, so for the challenge, tags is what I'm looking for. But just to give you an idea of how you might use this in another way, in a different project, if you don't have them back to back, you could have this as like a topper on the cover of your journal. You could still perhaps make it a shaker card. You could put a photo of, I don't know, something else in there if you wanted to. But yeah, you could actually use this as a topper. Perhaps not this one, because obviously it's got the hole cut out, unless you wanted to put ribbon in so it looks like still a tag on the front of your cover. But yeah, as I was cutting these out, I was thinking, oh, this might make a nice topper on a cover. So that is another idea as well. Now, what you do with these, there are a couple of things. So you can make a shaker card, which I will be doing. But if you didn't want to do that, you haven't got sequins and things like that to fuss around with, there are other options. So you can use some vellum. I've actually found in my stash, I've had this for ages and I keep putting off using it, but I've got this acetate that has this snowflake print on it, and I was thinking, because this one's a bit bigger, I might use this one for the shaker card, and then because this just needs a little bit of detail in the background where we've kind of got these little stars and then a snowflake, I was thinking that might be quite nice on the train one. So I mean, you're only going to need a teeny tiny piece of this, so I'm just trying to find which bit I like. So I might go with this top corner. So like I said, I'm not going to need very much, and the nice thing is obviously it's the same on both sides, so I don't have to worry about that. But you could emboss vellum, as I said, just so you've got a bit of texture there, and then have that in between. It's entirely up to you. So there's lots of different options for this. You could put some maybe some vintage music paper. If you've got some like Christmassy music paper, you could have that as well. Sorry, I'm now just noticing this side and I'm thinking, do I want this corner instead? Because I've got stars and then a nice big snowflake. I think the snowflake's in the wrong spot. I kind of want the snowflake at the beginning. So does that one look better? I'm thinking that one looks better. Right, so I'm going to use this bit here then. And then obviously I will trim it down in a moment. But that's just going to create the star and the snowflake behind. I'm just going to twist it round just so I get a bit more of the stars. So that's roughly where I want it to go. Right, so I think I'm going to stick it down first, and then I can trim it once it's all kind of glued together. So I'm going to get some double-sided tape just because it is an acetate. So got a little bit here. I'm just going to hold that in place. I'm just going to lift it up, pop down the tape, and then hopefully try and peel it back without taking the backing off, which is what I always do. There we go. And that just pops back there. I'm going to do the same on the other side, and it doesn't matter because obviously I'm going to glue these two pieces together anyway, so it doesn't matter if it's not stuck in all areas. But yeah, I've got a thing about tags this month, I think, because like I said, we had the pocketed tag last week, and then I had it in my head that I wanted to do some kind of shaker tag as well, which is why I thought of cutting out a window from something. And when I saw this train, I thought, oh, that might look quite nice, having that gap there. Yeah, so now you can see the kind of snowflake and the stars peeking through. Okay, so I am going to trim round that acetate, and I think I might do a little bit of inking. I'm not going to do too much, I'm not too worried about inking. Yeah, so I think I'll ink it once I've actually glued it all together. So let's get those two sides stuck down. And again, just because it is acetate, I'm going to put a little bit of tape up the top here and here, just to make sure that these bits do actually stick down. And then obviously everything else can be glued, so I'm just going to give that a burnish. Okay, so then that one is all stuck together. So like I said, that just needs a little bit of an ink. So I'm going to use Vintage Photo for this one. I'm just going to give it a little bit of a dusting around the outside. I'm not going to go too mad with the colour. And on the other side. Okay, so there's one tag done. Right, so for the next one, like I said, I want to make this into a shaker, so I am going to have to separate these two, because obviously they're going to need to have some depth to them. So I'm just going to snip that into more of a curve. That's a bit better. And I am going to ink these, because obviously they're going to be slightly wedged, aren't they? So I'm going to give them an ink. And these are all made with 300 GSM, just to give them a bit more stability. Normally I print my ephemera on 160 GSM, but because these are going to be shaker cards, I think I needed them to be a bit more sturdy. Or if you were going to use them on the front of your journal, as I said, then yeah, you're definitely going to want something a bit thicker as well. Right, that'll do. Right, so I'm just going to move those to the side. Right, I'm going to now grab a plain piece of acetate. Right, so again, I'm not going to need anything huge, and I've realised that you can't see this very well, but you might be able to see some of the shine from the camera. I have got something in my hands. So I've just got a small piece, because again, like I said, I'm not going to need too much, but I need a little bit to go on each side. So I'm just going to have a look roughly where the window is, and then I'm going to cut my rectangle, and then I'm going to pop it back on the acetate so that I've got a window for the other side. There we go. Right, so that can go to the side, we don't need that. Okay, and then very closely just going to check. Yeah. So very close up against the window, I have put that. I'm just going to put a thinner tape down the two sides, because otherwise it's going to be too thick. So I'm just going to grab one of my thinner tapes to go around the other edges. that one. And there. Okay, I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Right, okay, so they're my two pieces, and just going to make sure that they're lining up. Yes, brilliant. Okay, so now obviously we need to make the shaker part. So for that, they are going to need to be elevated. So I have these foam strips, and they're very, very thin. So I'm going to put the thin ones around the actual present, and then we'll kind of go around everything else. But before we do that, I am just going to punch a hole in the top here so we can get the ribbon in. It's just easier to do that while it's flat. So I'm just going to line them up with each other. Oh, still got something in there from last time. There it is. So let's just line these up again. And I'm going to go just between where these children's heads are. There we go. Right, so let's do thin strips. And what I like about these is you can peel them off, and obviously if you need it a bit thicker, then you just peel 2 strips together, but I am only going to use single strips. And I'm just going to create a window basically around this gap, so where the presents are. And you've got to make sure that you obviously butt this up, because you don't want any sequins or whatever you're using escaping. And that one's going that way. Oops. Now, because of the shape of this, I'm actually just going to go straight across so I can cut it there. And it doesn't matter that it's at a slight angle. But again, it's just making sure that it is tight up against the next one, just so that obviously it's not going anywhere. And I'm going to do the same on the back of this one. Actually, no, I don't have to. Sorry, no, I don't have to do the same on the back of this one, do I? My mistake. Because obviously that's going to elevate it already, isn't it? So what I will do though is now go around the outside. I mean, you could just have it so that that middle bit is elevated, but you might just want some supports on the outside. So again, it doesn't have to be like huge supports, but I might just have one on the sides. So I'm just going to do it quite straight and just put one there, and I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to try and make sure it's the same size though. Okay, and then I'm going to have along the bottom and along the top as well. And like I said, just gives it a little bit of extra stability to the tag. Now this one doesn't matter so much if there is a slight gap, because obviously this isn't where the beads and things are going. So this doesn't really matter. Now I just need a little bit for that gap there. Right, so there we go. So when these are together, it just makes it look a little bit neater around the outside. Right, so now for the bits that are going to go inside. Now there are different things that you can use. I've seen people use teeny tiny beads. I've seen people use sequins. Sequins is actually what I'm going to use. I also have a little bit of glitter that are Christmassy colours, so I'm going to put a bit of that in there as well. Now you don't want to go too nuts, so I'm just going to put a teeny sprinkle of that in there, and then just a couple of extra sequins. And I'm going to try and pick the colours because obviously I don't want like blues and stuff. I'm going to go for a couple of golds, a couple of reds, oh, and there's a green. Perfect. That'll do. Like I said, you don't want to overfill it, because if you start overfilling it, then it does get really tricky to kind of see anything that's going on, and it doesn't move around properly. I might actually just add a little bit more glitter, because that's not bulky. There we go. I'm just going to even that out just so it's a little bit easier, and then I'm going to peel off all of the backings. And then the trick here is to not knock the project and send beads and sequins flying, because I've done that before, and where the back is now exposed, I ended up with it just sticking to everything, which, as you can imagine, was lots of fun. I'm not normally a fan of glitter. This is the only time I really use glitter, if it's going in a shaker card. I don't like it because it gets stuck to you and everything else, and then you find it days later still stuck to you. Right, then the trickiest part, I think, is now just lining everything up. So trying to line it up as best I can with the bottom. And then just giving it a bit of a press down. And then you've got on both sides a little shaker card. Right, okay, so there we are with each of the tags. I really love how these have come out. I love that kind of vintage Santa. He is absolutely wonderful. I love that big beaming smile. So as I said, we've got two just traditional tags that can be used either within your journals, or you can use them on different gifts and things. So we have those, and then, like I said, I wanted something a little bit more dimensional. So we've got the kind of clear window. This one has the snowflakes and stars in it. As I said, that is optional. You don't have to necessarily cut that window out. I just thought that might look quite nice. But then you've got another tag that, again, you could just use in your journals, or you could use these on a gift or something. And then we have our shaker card with all the different sort of glitter and sequins in there. So again, really love this, really darling. And as I said before, it doesn't have to be used as a tag. You could use this on a journal cover and still have that kind of shaker window as well. And you could do that for either of them. And then they also don't have to be double-sided. You could decide that you just want to print one side. Obviously with the shaker part you just need some pattern paper on the back, but it may be that you just want to print one side and just have it decorated on one side and then the other side plain. So you can obviously do some writing on it. So lots of ways that you can play around with these. I've really enjoyed making them. I do love, like I said, experimenting, playing around with tags. I hope this is a fun challenge and I hope that you enjoy it. The freebies can be found in the Non-Stop Papercrafts Facebook group or on my Ko-fi page. This all corresponds really, really well with the Christmas Wishes kit. That's available in my Etsy store. There is a discount as well for the whole month of November, so I suggest you go and grab the discount while you can. There is no code needed, it's automatically applied, but it is only for the month of November. Right, that's all from me today. Thank you so much, everybody. I hope you have a wonderful day and I will see you all in the next crafty video. Bye for now.